Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and of course we're joined by author and economic analyst here at WAM, John Sneisen. Now, Reuters has just reported Iraq announced the sale of $1 billion bonds guaranteed by the United States paying an interest of 2.1%, far below the price the country is paying for its non-guaranteed debt. So we're going to break this down a bit better than Reuters. So John, can you go into what's going on here?
What's really crazy about this is that the United States is actually backing the full issue, which is going to be about $2 billion. It looks like. What I want to go and actually show you is the actual rating of Iraq. If you go to S&P or to Fitch, it's B to B minus, which means that it's highly speculative investment. I would not touch that with a 10-foot pole. Of course, they have now $2.7 billion in international bonds that are due in 2028. The coupon of it is 5.8%, so that was the interest on it, but it has risen to 9% currently, which is quite different from 2.1. That's a huge difference.
Huge gap, yeah.
And it's very risky. Who is gonna, of course, issue these bonds and help them come into fruition and make money on them? Well, it's the usual suspects. It's Citibank, Deutsche Bank, and JP Morgan. Of course, the trio of debt devils, which is I would call it also, the Bermuda Triangle of debt. You could also call these guys. What it comes down to, though, is the insanity that the United States is actually backing this debt. And if they default on the debt, the United States and the taxpayers of the United States has to pay for it. So who was the actual people that voted to have this happen in the United States? Well, there was nobody, because, of course, it's ESF. The Exchange Stabilization Fund and others.
Nobody has any say anymore in anything.
Of course not.
And of course the ESF is good that he brought that up.
Yeah, because I believe it's the money, of course, it's going to come out of the ESF because it's a direct underwritten loan that's going to, be protected by the United States. And of course, if it needs to be bailed out, the ESF is there to help them out. And they've done so many times before.
What are master manipulators for anyway?
Yeah, right? Exactly. So I think Trump really needs to stop this right away. Of course, interestingly enough, he has a travel ban to Iraq. It would be very interesting. This issue came out in the 22nd of January was when they started talking about this. I don't know if it was dealt with before, probably. Who knows what's going on there.
I mean, the travel ban was part of what President Obama had for his list of most dangerous countries, which he used in order to put the travel ban on certain countries. Yeah. And, I mean, this came back to, at the United States, where Iraq said, well, we're going to issue a travel ban on Americans. And, oh, no, what are we going to do? What are Americans going to do now? They wanted a nice vacation on the beaches of Iraq.
Well, I guess they would have to pull out the military of Iraq, hey?
Well, hey, that would be nice.
Yeah, so what this comes down to is don't give this type of foreign aid to any countries without people actually saying that they want it. If they want to give that money, they probably wouldn't do a loan with these corrupt banks anyways. They would just do a charitable giving event where they could raise this... not probably 2 billion, because they are running a deficit, because they are oil country, and all oil countries now are collapsing because they were so dependent on the actual oil income from the royalties that now their budgets has shrunk so much that you could maybe tax your people 40-50%, 60-70 to save your ass, but of course they can't because it's way too fast to actually say, I'm going to implement 40% tax on the population in Iraq.
Or 70%, you mean like Denmark or something.
Oh,
right?
Of course. It's just insanity. Like, all this comes back to don't borrow money to people that is bankrupt. It's like the constant borrowing to Greece, to Portugal, to Spain, to the United States. The United States is bankrupt as well. They would never be able to pay back their debt. Of course, Trump says that they're going to try to do that, but spending a lot more to try to increase, of course, income. Now, we do know that the input versus output when it comes to government spending, it's been done before, and it's not very great. It's usually $1 in, 0.68 out. So all this comes down to, Josh, it comes down to, let's not borrow money to people that we know are bankrupt, and understand what a bankrupt country means. It means that they actually have to borrow money in order to survive and actually be able to give money or spend money.
Yeah, and also just let's get the hell away from the IMF and people like that give out
100%.
insane loans and put them in servitude to international orders. And I mean, why can't they just liquidate all the debt? Just liquidate the debt.
Well, debt jubilee, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's the only way we could actually make a clean slate. We can't deleverage from the system. Forget about it. It's too late. It's already completely demolished the whole monetary system on a global scale. So what we need to do is we need to start with a clean slate, and of course, it's been talked about. These debt jubilees have been around throughout history many times before. It's time that we have a new one and start with a clean slate.
And go from a free market voluntary level where people competing currencies, free monetary system, free markets, and then on top of that with this debt jubilee, if it's not for that, then I guess we'll all just have to be slaves on a farm for the state and for the monetary system and pay it back that way for the next couple hundred years.
Well, exactly. That's what you're going to end up with. You're going to be a constant slave for the rest of your life until you die. If that's how you want to live and how you actually want your kids to live, I think you're a terrible human being, especially for pushing that over to your kids.
Absolutely.
So it's time to talk about this on a global scale. Let's get Trump talking about this deal. He needs to talk about this deal and actually pull that money back right away and look at all the other deals that they're making through the Treasury and others and say, we are not going to, continue to bail out countries around the world. It's time to stop this insanity and look at the system itself, the actual cause of not the symptom. It's time to actually look at that, the actual cause of everything, and say, let's fix it, instead of saying, we're going to do this infrastructure spending bill, we're going to do this and that to save the whole system. No, it's not going to happen. Let's just have a discussion about it right now, instead of, pushing the can down the road again. That's what we're continuing doing here.
Free markets, free monetary systems, and free people make for the most prosperous societies, and I think that can't be undersaid. We need to talk about this, and we need to have that conversation. We need to talk about what's going on within the monetary system, which seems at first very complicated and difficult, and they do use that kind of lingo for a reason, folks. But once you start understanding even the most basic forms of it, you understand how people are being enslaved by the monetary system and how we can get out of this whole mess by not tangling those tentacles in every little crevice of society. We need to free ourselves from this madness and go to a voluntary level, away from the state, away from this monetary system.
The way I look at things, and I learned this from other ways, like through marketing and through understanding how to create a message, is KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. That's what you need to do with this stuff. Don't listen to their jargon language that are trying to deceive you of what the real underlying message and understanding of it is. It's very simple. It's debt. That's all that it is. You don't have to really worry about all this other language. They call it 15, 20 different things. Debt.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is an incredibly simple thing to understand. It's the state and the monetary system and all these manipulators that make things difficult. And I really think that school would be as simple as teaching a bit of math and a bit of science and a bit of this and a bit of that. And it would be easy to understand, but they make it in a certain way, the state-sponsored educational system, to kind of push kids away from this so they don't actually know anything. They know a lot about worthless, pointless things, and then they're misled about certain other things, but they don't know how to rule themselves. They don't know how to take care of themselves. They don't know how to get around this insane racket that's been pushed on the populace for over 100 years.
Well, it's time to actually let the universities do what they used to do back in the day. It was for higher knowledge. So you go there to study history, study everything around the world, understanding the world around you. That's what it was supposed to be, not having, what mention some of the programs that kids takes today when they go to universities.
Oh, you mean women's studies, where it's just a cash grab and you get out and 0.1% of the people in that class actually get jobs. The rest are unemployed at McDonald's. I mean, this is the kind of system that they push on.
They're up protesting.
Yeah. Well, cultural Marxism at its finest. And, I really think that it should go back to, I saw a film a long time ago. I mentioned this in a past video about a year ago. I saw a film from the 1950s talking to students at a university about what they think should be the way universities teach students. students. And they talked about, well, why doesn't laissez-faire capitalist, an Austrian economist, and a Marxist get together and debate each other and have the students decide what's right. But of course, that should always be on a private level without the state manipulating things, because what kind of slaves are we to actually take seriously a state-sponsored university or place of education? Yeah. That's how you brainwash people. That is basically just propaganda propagated through children into their heads, out the other ear, and then next thing you know, you have a bunch of people. It's a re-education
camp.
Yeah, and then they go on to educate their children, and it's just a mess. So we'll end it at that because we've gotten a bit off subject, but it's the way it is with us. You know, I'm sure many of you have watched many of our videos before, and we tend to get a little bit off subject at times because we're passionate about the message of liberty and freedom and truth and prosperity. So we will be back at you with much more. Check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated. And of course, check the links in the description and the comments for ANARCHAPULCO, where you can save 10% on your tickets to ANARCHAPULCO by typing in promo code WAM. That's WAM. And I will see you there. This is Josh Sigurdson and John Sneisen signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.